Hey guys, it's Kate, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I wanted to come back and do another gouache video with this new ShinHan Professional Designer's Gouache set I got. Say that 5 times fast. And I will say that I've always thought that gouache kind of lends itself to those sort of flat folk arty paintings. And I really love the ones with the different doodly flowers that get a lot of different little marks and dots and lines, and just they're very simple in structure, but they're very beautiful when you finish a painting. And so I wanted to try that today on this art video. So if you have some time and you have some gouache on hand and want to settle in and just follow me along on this process, then we will complete a nice gouache painting together. So I started off with the pencil sketch and I did it nice and dark. I've been trying to be more mindful of that since I know it's going to be on camera, and like in my hummingbird one, it was very hard to see my sketch lines. So normally I would try to keep them kind of light, but for the purposes of video, it's really hard to do that where you can still see the details. So I made sure to do a nice dark drawing today for this. And I broke out the new ShinHan palette that I got, and also the new gouache set. So I've been really enjoying experimenting with this. And for this one, I'm actually working on the background first, which I'm going to be painting a dark blue. So I'm going over, and I'm still new to this set, so I'm trying to find that sweet spot where it is thick enough going down as an opaque layer without too many of those brush strokes, and then also thin enough to spread nicely. And so I think it's going to be different depending on the brand of gouache you're working with. And some brands don't really get that opaque at all without more than one layer. So it just depends on what you have on hand and what you're familiar working with. I'm still getting to know this one, but I really like how it goes down on the paper. And as I practice more with it, I think I'll kind of develop a sense for how much water to add. But I think this one actually went really well. I do add a little bit of a second coat on that dark background, especially in that upper right hand corner where it kind of thinned out a little bit. I think I added a little bit too much water there. But my idea was to paint in the background first, and that way when I started painting in all of my elements, because it is an opaque color, it would be easier to kind of adjust the shapes rather than paint the background last and possibly, cut into a leaf a little bit too much, or go too far in on a petal or something like that. So the order that I painted this worked out really well for me, and I don't know if you do something different in your paintings. If you do, I'd love for you to leave a comment below and let us know what your technique is. So once I finish doing my background and all of my coats, and you can see I'm kind of going in and touching up some of the spots, I went ahead and let that dry completely so that I could work on the next layer without having any blending. And so now I'm going in and starting to paint in all of the different greenery that I have. So just to make things easy and probably a little bit more cohesive also, I went ahead and blended the leftover blue that I already had on my palette and added some different yellows and greens to that. And then I am kind of changing up the shade for each element that I paint in. So you can see there I changed it and added a little bit more greenish tint for that leaf sprig on the left. And then I'm also adding white and more yellow to kind of warm it up even more for the right side. And I really like this way of painting. It's just, I don't know, very relaxing. I did enjoy putting down the background first, and then also kind of varying and practicing my color mixing as well. And I really like the little flower arrangement here too. I thought it had good variety, and it kind of lends itself to some of the marks that I'll be making later once I get all my colors blocked in. But this is such a fun painting to make, and I definitely would like to do more of these. So I hope you enjoy this video. Leave me a comment below if you like this kind of style of art, and I can definitely create more of that for you. So I wanted to bring in some sunny warmth, and so I grabbed my yellow, mixed it with a little bit of white to up the opacity even more, and I put it in a couple different spots there on the paper. And the paper that I'm working on for this painting is a mixed media pad. It's one of the new sketchbooks that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I believe it's, let me see, it is 110 pounds paper, so it's a little bit thicker than one of those regular mixed media or sketchbook pads. So it has a nice sort of ground for that gouache. And since I'm trying not to work too wet, it is holding up really nicely to the gouache. So just something to keep in mind. You don't necessarily have to have expensive watercolor paper or anything like that to do gouache painting. Just as long as it doesn't get too watery, your paper should hold up really well. So I'm doing different variations of pink and purple for my flowers in the background, and I really like how they kind of pop out from that dark blue. And I am just continuing my mixing, getting some nice purpley, like mauve colors in there, and putting in some of that bright red to warm it up. And I just like how they all blend together. And they all work together since they're all using the same colors in the mixing. So it just sort of, they all go together. Even though I'm using different colors, there's sort of an element of all the same colors in each piece. And so now I'm going through with my mark making, and I grabbed my finer round brush, and I'm going through and getting some contrasting green colors to add some lines to the leaves, getting some little detail marks in there. And you can see they're just very simplistic marks, but they just add that little bit of extra to the painting. And you can even look at, if you're rewinding and fast forwarding on the video, you can see sort of the before and after, and what a difference just a little bit of extra texture makes, even with just the leaf lines. And I wanted to add a little bit of fun, so I put some dots on the leaves to the left as well, and then some kind of dashes going down the stem. So I kind of went and had some extra fun here with the mark making, and I just really loved the finished result. One of the things I really love about the gouache paint is just that really nice flat effect. And I think I mentioned it in my unboxing too, that, you have your acrylic paint, which, if you use a lot of those tube paints have kind of a satin or semi-gloss type of finish. And the craft paints tend to be a lot more matte, although they can have a lot less pigment, and you might need several layers to get an opaque layer. But I really like working with the craft paint because it dries flat. So there's just this, I don't know, quality about gouache where, because it dries so matte and it is opaque and it's water-based, and you can get some really nicely pigmented gouaches, you get just a really different finish when it dries. And I love practicing with this. I'm really excited to do some more experimenting, because other than the white gouache that I use occasionally with watercolor, I really don't, I haven't used it in years besides now, and I'm not really sure why I ever stopped. And this painting was a lot of fun, and all those details just really put it together, like you can see here. And I'm stopping and giving you the close-up with the little stars in the sky and everything, but this one was just a lot of fun to make. I really hope you enjoy this video, and if you have gouache on hand or even acrylic paint, give this a try. And until next time, keep creating.